Hillary's Assassination Narrative 2016 Chronology, June 7th, August 10th, September 11th, October 30th.
I am so grateful to you. It is wonderful to be back in Brooklyn, here in this beautiful building. And it may be hard to see tonight, but we are all standing under a glass ceiling right now. But don't worry, we're not smashing this one. Thanks to you, we've reached a milestone. The first time in our nation's history that a woman will be a major party's nominee. They set it forth in something called the Declaration of Sentiments, and it was the first time in human history that that kind of declaration occurred. That amendment finally gave women the right to vote. And of course, I wish she could see her daughter become the Democratic Party's nominee. This campaign is about making sure there are no ceilings, no limits on any of us, and this is our moment to come together.
So, at the beginning of her speech, why does she say this?
And it may be hard to see tonight, but we are all standing under a glass ceiling right now. But don't worry, we're not smashing this one.
Hillary is prophetically predicting that the next president will be male.
Hillary wants to essentially abolish the Second Amendment. By the way, and if she gets to pick her judges, nothing you can do, folks. Although the Second Amendment people, maybe there is, I don't know.
So, on August 10th, Hillary and her running mate and the TV owl claimed that this speech incited violence against Hillary.
Hillary wants to essentially abolish the Second Amendment. By the way, and if she gets to pick her judges, nothing you can do, folks. Although the Second Amendment people, maybe there is, I don't know.
That evening of the 9th, CNN and MSNBC started.
The breaking news, Donald Trump goes unscripted again and sets off a stunning new controversy.
Today's one of those days it felt like maybe the dam broke.
Even Donald Trump's most rabid supporters may be shaking their heads in bewilderment tonight.
Just minutes ago, Trump said something that again has so many Democrats, so many Republicans aghast.
And that thing, the thing that has so many people aghast right now, well, it's from a rally in Wilmington, North Carolina this afternoon. And at that rally, Trump appeared possibly to suggest that Hillary Clinton could be assassinated as a way to stop unfriendly justices from being appointed to the Supreme Court. That was certainly how his remarks were interpreted by, as Donald Trump himself might put it, many people. So here are Donald Trump's complete, unedited comments from that rally in North Carolina today. You can take a listen. You can judge for yourself exactly what he was saying.
Hillary wants to essentially abolish the Second Amendment. By the way, and if she gets to pick her judges, nothing you can do, folks. Although the Second Amendment people, maybe there is, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, that will be a horrible day. If Hillary gets to put her judges, right now we're tied. You see what's going on? We're tied because Scalia, this was not supposed to happen. Justice Scalia was going to be around for 10 more years at least, and this is what happens. That was a horrible thing. So now look at it. So Hillary essentially wants to abolish the Second Amendment. Now, speaking to the NRA folks, who are great, when you When you, and I'll tell you, so they endorsed me. They endorsed me very early. My sons are members, I'm a member. We can add, I think, the National Rifle Association, we can add the Second Amendment to the justices. They almost go, in a certain way, hand in hand. Now, the justices are going to do things that are so important, and we have such great justices. You saw my list of 11 that have been vetted and respected and have gotten great. Okay. And they a little bit equate, but if you don't do what's the right thing, you're not going to have, either you're not going to have a Second Amendment, or you're not going to have much of it left, and you're not going to be able to protect yourselves, which you need. You know, when the bad guys burst into your house, they're not looking about Second Amendments and do I have the right to do this? Okay? The bad guys aren't going to be giving up their weapons. But the good people will say, oh, well, that's the law. No, not going to happen. We can't let it happen. We can't let it happen.
Again, that was Donald Trump earlier today in Wilmington, North Carolina. Those comments you heard, those comments from the very end of that segment we just played, they are stirring an enormous amount of controversy tonight. Now, the Trump campaign, for its part, its explanation is that Trump was talking about political action, they say, political action and not actual violence. His campaign statement on, quote, dishonest media, it reads, quote, it's called the power of unification. Second Amendment people have amazing spirit and are tremendously unified, which gives them great political power. And this year they will be voting in record numbers, and it won't be for Hillary Clinton. It will be for Donald Trump. That's the statement from the Trump campaign earlier after that controversy started to kick up. That statement doesn't quite track with what Trump actually said, though, since Trump was talking about what could happen after Hillary Clinton is elected. It wasn't about voting in this election. It was about what happens after the voting is done in this election. Maybe it is possible that he was just trying to spit out some kind of platitude about the power of the Second Amendment advocates, and it just came out in that weird, nonsensical way. But of course, when you're Donald Trump and when you have said so many provocative, so many inflammatory things on purpose in this campaign, well, even if you didn't mean it the way people are taking it tonight, that is how a lot of people are going to take it. Ross Douthat at the New York Times speculating, not reassuringly, that maybe Trump meant people could shoot the judicial nominees and not Hillary Clinton. The editor of the Washington Examiner thought Trump was floating the idea of an armed rebellion against bad Supreme Court decisions. But the overall consensus here among critics, and critics not just limited to Democrats tonight, the overall consensus among them is that Trump was hinting at some kind of gun violence. And the responses have been coming fast and furious all day. Hillary Clinton's campaign manager calling Trump's comments, quote, dangerous. A person seeking to be the president of the United States should not suggest violence in any way. That from the Clinton campaign. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut calling it, quote, an assassination threat, seriously upping the possibility of a national tragedy and crisis. Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren tweeting that Trump, quote, makes death threats because he's a pathetic coward who can't handle the fact that he's losing to a girl. Hillary Clinton's running mate Tim Kaine condemning the remarks. So did the Brady campaign. So did and the Gabby Giffords and Mark Kelly, their gun control group. They also condemned this. The daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. weighing in as well. She tweeted, quote, as the daughter of a leader who was assassinated, I find Trump's comments distasteful, disturbing, and dangerous.
It's very clear what Donald Trump was implying, wreak violence against Hillary Clinton.
It's not a joke.
You're not going to use the joke to...
A top advisor telling NBC News it's totally ridiculous to think Trump made an assassination joke.
I want to bring in now Dan Bongino, who's a former Secret Service agent, senior legal analyst Jeffrey Toobin, and senior political analyst David Gergen. David, as we're sitting here, do they think Americans are crazy? Do they think people are crazy that we didn't hear Donald Trump say what he said? He completely got the quote wrong, Rudy Giuliani. That's not what Donald Trump said. He's telling a crowd full of people a lie. That's not what Donald Trump said. Donald Trump said something completely different than what Rudy Giuliani said.
Well, I happen to be a friend and ally in many ways of Rudy Giuliani and respect him a great deal. But I think on this particular one, I think you're right that, listen, what Donald Trump said was, if the election. After the election, there still might be a remedy Second Amendment folks, Second Amendment people, as he called them, might do something. He didn't say what, he just left that out there. So when Donald Trump goes there, he's drawing upon, and he's been doing a dog whistle to that whole sensibility that's been out there for a long time among, strong Second Amendment supporters, that one day you may have to have violence against your own kind.
I've also watched this clip many times now. What he said is not a crime. It is not direct enough to be a crime. And what Trump said today is certainly the kind of comment that would merit a visit from the Secret Service and a warning, stay away from threats of violence.
Dan, you're disagreeing with Jeffrey?
Don, I'm trying not to break down in laughter. This conversation's almost broken into the comical realm. It's clear what he was suggesting. I mean, he clearly, from what I had to read through his exact comments in the Washington Post today twice when I was asked to be on the show to try to find out what exactly the controversy was even about. Okay, it's clear he's trying to motivate people to go out and vote based on the potential for an open Supreme Court seat. How that's clear to you, that was some kind of call to an open revolution and to start firing your weapons at public officials is utter absurdity.
No one said that, Dan. No one said that. No one said that.
But to suggest that he was calling to violence means to me that you came into this with the idea that Donald Trump was calling to violence. Let me make the case afterwards. You didn't come into this with a clear and open mind.
What you're saying right now makes no sense. I'm sitting at home. I'm watching Donald Trump. I have 2 ears. I have 2 ears and I have 2 eyes, and I can see the reaction of the people behind me. Hang on, will you let me finish, Dan? David Gergen, who's respected by people on both sides, is saying, and we're supposed to be stupid enough not to understand that and to believe the spin coming from the surrogates and for people like you, you should be ashamed of yourself.
It doesn't make it, Don, frankly, I'm ashamed that you're talking to me as if I'm a child when 12 years of my life I was a Secret
treating me as a
agent,
child because you're telling me what I'm supposed to hear. And you're sitting here on television lying to the American people.
You don't know crap about this, Don. You're a TV guy. I was a Secret Service agent. Now cut off my mic. Do what you want.
I'm not going to cut off your mic. I'm going to tell you that you're sitting here and you're lying to the American people. You're lying to the American people, and you know that you're lying to the American people.
Any serious person who listens to this recognizes that this is close to a threat, and it's the kind of thing where the Secret Service says, "Hey, pal, take it easy."
Yeah, it's one of those things where everybody else is crazy, but the person who is wrong.
And whatever you need to say within the realm of reason to motivate people to get out and vote, yes, you should do that because you will lose your
First of all, that's a talking point to call someone a gun grabber. No one is trying to take your guns. That is a talking point.
Don, you're Captain Talking Point. You're like Captain Talking Point, and then you throw it back at me. You're insulting.
He has a piece out tonight interviewing former Secret Service high up. He said, I would be in there in an instant, basically, to tell the campaign to cool it. After you've gone out and called her crooked for all this time, basically called her a criminal, ought to be in jail. Your people are always yelling, lock her up. One of your people, said she ought to be shot for treason, and you have
my people?
No,
it's on videotape. Because everybody can see it for themselves, and everybody who understands the English language can make a judgment about what Donald Trump was talking about. And
so, on the 9th, the Clinton News Network and the like were kind of all over the map on this subject, but on the 10th,
trouble for Donald Trump. Under fire for comments about Hillary Clinton and the Second Amendment, Clinton supporters accused him of suggesting violence against the candidate.
Clinton supporters say Trump was encouraging violence. Senator Elizabeth Warren tweeting, Donald Trump makes death threats because he's a pathetic coward who can't handle the fact that he's losing to a girl. The Clinton campaign not finding it funny, saying this is simple. What Trump is saying is dangerous. A person seeking to be the president of the United States should not suggest violence in any way.
Donald Trump is dealing with the fallout over what many perceived as a threat of violence against Hillary.
If she gets to pick her judges, nothing you can do, folks. Although the Second Amendment people, maybe there is, I don't know. But
how do you interpret what he said?
Well, Jake, as you and I were just commenting, we're both native English speakers.
Yeah.
And when I heard that for the first time, that was more than a speed bump. All right? That's actually a very arresting comment. And it suggests either a very bad taste reference to political assassination at an attempt at humor, or an incredible insensitivity. And it may be the latter, an incredible insensitivity to the prevalence of a political assassination inside of American history, and how that is a topic that we don't ever come close to, even when we think we're trying to be lighthearted.
There was an attempt on Donald Trump's life a few weeks ago, actually, and the Secret Service got involved.
Well, let me say, if someone else had said that outside the hall, he'd be in the back of a police wagon now with the Secret Service questioning him.
Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump is being accused of inciting violence against his rival Hillary Clinton following remarks he made Tuesday during a rally in North Carolina. Trump's remarks were met with outrage. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut tweeted, quote, "Don't treat this as a political misstep. It's an assassination threat, seriously upping the possibility of a national tragedy and crisis." And former Arizona Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, who survived an assassination attempt in 2011, wrote that Trump's rhetoric, quote, "may provide inspiration or permission for those bent on bloodshed."
Chemi Shalev, the U.S. editor of Israeli Haaretz, tweeted, quote, "People who remember the incitement that led to Rabin's assassination will find Trump's rhetoric hauntingly familiar." Shalev was referencing the 1995 assassination of the Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin by a right-wing Jewish extremist. The New York Daily News called for Trump to end his campaign. The paper's cover shows a photo of Trump next to the words, "This isn't a joke anymore." When Trump hinted gun rights supporters shoot Hillary, he went from offensive to reckless. He must end his campaign. If he doesn't, the GOP needs to abandon him, the paper wrote.
Trump's remarks come 1 month after one of his advisors, a New Hampshire State Representative Al Baldessaro, called for Hillary Clinton to be executed. Baldessaro made the comments during a radio interview in July.
This whole thing disgusts me. Hillary Clinton should be put in the firing line and shot for treason.
On the Clinton News Network, this assassination narrative was constant, 24 hours, for days, starting on the 10th.
And I got information this morning that I'm still processing mentally, and it comes from a good source that was doing diplomatic detail security for someone even above Soros being brought in to meet with Hillary. And this guy was shooting his mouth off just right there in front of the security people, and they could not believe what they heard. And that's what's so scary. Man, these globalists are arrogant. And they were talking about staging a false flag on Hillary, a false assassination on Hillary, and blaming it on Trump. And we got information today through Biggs, one of his contacts, that's confirmed that Biggs knows well that they were bringing somebody to meet with Hillary just recently, and man, they were talking about staging an assassination attempt on Hillary. Notice this stuff's all too hot to handle. They don't show up here and try to arrest us for leaking stuff. They don't do that because they know it's too dangerous. They don't want this coming out. They don't want this getting attention. I mean, at a certain point, it's like, why do I have to do this? I mean, I've kind of really psychoanalyzed it at this point. I want the audience to understand this stuff is over the top now. This isn't rhetoric, okay? It isn't rhetoric. I had the Secret Service cheering me all over Cleveland and the police and you name it. It isn't rhetoric. You heard Bongino. He wasn't disagreeing earlier. He knows it's true. He's told me off air. No secrets. But like 3 years ago, how much the Secret Service loves me. And I'm like, oh, yeah, all right, the Secret Service. We talked to our contact. We talked to our pipeline to the Secret Service. And they added some very important information dealing with Hillary staging a false flag against herself, an assassination attempt that lines up with our other information that comes from another source, from another agency, and also confirming other information about what they're having to do to keep her from going into epileptic seizures. So I'm going to have Joe Biggs pop in for about 10 minutes. He's in Milwaukee before any of this, race riot stuff even started up. So he's going to be joining us coming up at the start of the next segment. And I want to bounce a lot of stuff off of him that we've gotten from the Secret Service. And by the way, when I talk about that, I'm not even proud of that. Getting handed a lit stick of dynamite, basically. It's something I got to do. It's a responsibility I've got to have. Folks would say it's prestigious to have the Secret Service leak information to you. I mean, in their history, they don't really do that. Because I had said RNC ran into the Secret Service. We had the highest level badges. That was national media. We were given the highest level badges by the Trump campaign. I'm not going to get into inside baseball, but we could go anywhere we wanted. Anywhere. Right through the Secret Service, you name it. And Secret Service reached out to us. I handed it off to Joe Biggs because he's good at keeping stuff secret with his Army background. We set up a liaison, and they said in the next few weeks you're going to get key intel, and it came through, confirming everything we already see in the news. The Parkinson's, the neurological disorders, the falling down, the special handicap systems that lower to the ground so she can get in the SUVs. And the fact that they're thinking about, and this is the new intel, how to make the announcement that she's so ill and will they have to replace her. Biggs got contacted by our pipeline, I'll say, last night with more information and confirming the intel we got from a other government agency, let's just say military, of a meeting in California. And you know all about these meetings with the vice president or the vice presidential candidate, Kane, and with the Soros people and all that going on around the country? Okay, it was one of those type meetings. And they just couldn't believe that in the cars leaving the hangars and when they're there running security at these mansions, these people are just sitting around openly in front of security blabbering about incredible crime. And I think that's why the Secret Service is so freaked out. And I brought this up to Bongino, and he didn't doubt that we'd had this leak, which is incredibly dangerous, folks. I just want you to understand, I'm doing my duty here bringing this out. It's like, oh, we got some big story for you. Notice mainstream media attacks me all the time on stuff. Silence about our leak. Come out and say I'm a liar. Hey, why didn't the Secret Service drop by? You notice silence because they're at the top trying to figure out what to do right now. Because no one else is willing to put these leaks out but InfoWars and Drudge and folks like the Northeast Intelligence Network. Now, there are so many leaks coming out from different angles in places they can't get everybody. They can shoot this DNC computer expert 4 times in the back who reportedly is the source to WikiLeaks. They can kill other people, but they can't kill everybody. And guess what? Folks are past being intimidated. The leaks are accelerating as the murders take place. So I don't know how they're going to try to handle this. A false flag, a staged attack on Hillary. That's the word we're hearing. But Doug,
negate.
So this is all or nothing on both sides. I mean, this is it.
To me, based on everything I've heard, Alex, this is for all the marbles, as I like to say. This is the final throes for this domination. And people say, well, that's kind of, oh man, don't say that because that's causing fear. No, I mean, I think it's just reality. I think that now is the hinge moment.
When the Secret Service are out in the middle of the cameras and the lights and everywhere, shaking my hand and stuff, I mean, they've never been like that. You know that they don't care anymore.
That's right.
Viva.
Christian Adams.
Donald Leroy Adams.
Patrick Adams.
Shannon Lewis Adams.
Stephen George Adams.
And remember what Alex Jones said on August 15, 2016.
A false assassination on Hillary and blaming it on Trump.
Because of the 2015 Super Bowl halftime show, I know that a bomb was intended at this event. And since Trump was so close in proximity to Clinton, the false flag was canceled.
Stephen George Adams.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sandra Bookman.
And I'm Joe Torres. We begin with the breaking news about Hillary Clinton's death.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sandra Bookman.
And I'm Joe Torres. We begin with the breaking news about Hillary Clinton's death.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sandra Bookman.
And I'm Joe Torres. We begin with the breaking news about Hillary Clinton's death.
Hillary Clinton reported to have died under hospital treatment at Montefiore Medical Hospital 4 minutes ago. Democrats in disagreement over procedures of renomination. Fixer Guy posted this screenshot at 11:56 p.m. on Twitter and made this comment with the screenshot. So this popped up a little bit ago. Did I just fall down Alice's rabbit hole, or what? It vanished after 3 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sandra Bookman.
And I'm Joe Torres. We begin with the breaking news about Hillary Clinton's death.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sandra Bookman.
And I'm Joe Torres. We begin with the breaking news about Hillary Clinton's death.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sandra Bookman.
And I'm Joe Torres. We begin with the breaking news about Hillary Clinton's death.
Owen Schroyer from Infowars.com, and by now you've probably seen the video circulating the internet of Jose Torres from WABC7 in New York reporting Hillary Clinton is dead. Well, we went ahead and did a little investigation into this. We called up WABC7 in New York, and here's what we found.
Yes, hi, my name is Owen Schroyer from Infowars.com, and I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but there is a story on the internet that Joe Torres reported that Hillary Clinton had died yesterday. It was a mistake?
Yes, that is accurate. It's an unfortunate mistake. Yes.
So what did he have?
We took it back. It's a rebuttal, obviously, right? I mean, she's alive. It was pneumonia, but she's alive.
So why did he hear that she was dead, or what was that?
I don't know what if it was. I mean, it was written in a teleprompter, and I don't know, honestly. I wasn't here, so I don't know.
Have you guys been getting calls about this all day? Sir, are you still there? Sir, are you still there? I'm still connected.
Maybe he hit mute. So anyway, that is accurate. You did hear that, but again, it was an unfortunate mistake. I don't know the exact details. I wasn't here. Obviously, I'm not,
So he just had that on the teleprompter. You don't know if that was his story or someone fed that in there or what happened?
Correct.
And you guys have been called.
That's what I got her.
And you guys are getting called on this all day?
Yeah, we have been getting called all day, yesterday and today, yes.
Did the Clinton campaign reach out to you guys at all about this?
No, I mean, they understand mistakes. No, they did not.
What about any other government sources, like Secret Service or anybody? No. Okay. So Joe Torres just read off a misprinted teleprompter or something?
Yep, absolutely.
All right, well, thank you for taking the call.
All right, no problem. Again, apologies, it was a mistake.
All right, sir, thank you.
So, WABC7 admits that Jose Torres did say that on TV. They admitted that it was put in the teleprompter, but they were also very nonchalant, no big deal about it. So what is going on? Was this a prank inside the office? Was this a mistake that somebody put in the teleprompter? Or perhaps they reported something that wasn't supposed to be reported yet?
On September 11, 2001, BBC reported on something that wasn't supposed to be reported yet.
Now, more on the latest building collapse in New York. You might have heard a few moments ago, I was talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing. And indeed it has. Apparently that's only a few hundred yards away from where the World Trade Center towers were. And it seems that this was not a result of a new attack. It was because the building had been weakened during this morning's attacks. We'll probably find out more now about that from our correspondent, Jane Stanley. Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
Well, only really what you already know. Details are very, very sketchy. There's almost a sense downtown in New York behind me, down by the World Trade Centers, of just an area completely closed off as the rescue workers try to do their job. But this isn't the first building that has suffered as a result. We know that part of the Marriott Hotel next to the World Trade Center also collapsed as a result of this huge amount of falling debris from 110 floors of the two twin towers of the World Trade Center. As you can see behind me, the Trade Center appears to be still burning. We see these huge clouds of smoke and ash, and we know that behind that there's an empty piece of what was a very familiar New York skyline, a symbol of the financial prosperity of this city, but completely disappeared now, and New York is still unable to take on board what has happened to them today.
Presumably there were very few people in the Salomon building when it collapsed. I mean, there were, I suppose, fears of possible further collapses around the area.
That's what you would hope, because this whole downtown area behind me has been completely sealed off and evacuated, apart from the emergency workers. That was done by the mayor, Rudy Giuliani, much earlier today, because of, course, the dreadful collapse of the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center. But New York, very much a city still in chaos. The phones are not working properly, the subway lines are not working properly, and we know that...
Well, unfortunately, I think we've lost the line with Jane Stanley in Manhattan. Perhaps we can rejoin her and follow that up later.
Please see my video about the 2016 Super Bowl halftime show for how these dates are encoded in the previous halftime show.